On the upcoming episode of the Next Man Up podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network, Kenny Rhoda and I discussed the Browns' 24-19 loss at Denver, a debacle in every sense of the word, all kinds of problems for the Cleveland Browns as they slipped to 2-6. Welcome to the latest edition of the Next Man Up podcast. I'm Dennis Maniloff with co-host Kenny Rhoda, brought to you by Chase Smith, producer extraordinaire and director of Press Play Podcast Network. Unfortunately, Kenny and I come to you after another disaster by the good ship Cleveland Brown. This time in Denver, they lose to the Broncos. And they didn't just lose to an NFL team. They lost to a 2-6 team that was starting a quarterback that had not taken a snap in an NFL game that mattered, Brandon Allen. So if you talk about low points, this is easily the lowest of lows for the Browns. You got to figure it can't get any lower, but perhaps they can drop to 2-7. Roadman, I don't know what to say anymore. I mean, we will have plenty to say by the time this podcast is over, but this was just a mind-bogglingly terrible loss by the Cleveland Browns.
D-Man, each and every week I sit here and watch, and I expect so much more from this football team, and I keep giving them the benefit of the doubt. The schedule was tough. Got to get in the same page. Freddie's, getting his feet wet and everything. But you know what? I'm done, D-Man. I'm done with all of that. And giving them the opportunity to go out and win this division. And I bought all the crap. I drank the orange and brown. If you don't wear orange and brown, you don't matter. I all that. I bought into OBJ. We got Odell. I bought into all of that stuff, man. I picked them to win this division. They're 2-6. They're terrible. They're a bad football team right now, D-Man. They have the 6th worst record in the NFL. They'd be picking 6th overall in the draft if it were held today. That's how bad this football team is with all that talent, with Jarvis Landry and the $90 million wide receiver in OBJ. He's more concerned about his cleats and wearing Joker cleats.
Roadman, let me jump in on you. I was waiting until you said that. The magic word. I am so daggone tired of the stinking cleats being worn by the stinking Browns, specifically Odell Beckham Jr. and his Joker cleats, and Jarvis Landry and his gold cleats. Told by the NFL, you're not even going to play in the second half if you don't change your cleats. Here's a novel concept, Freddie Kitchens, if you're still the coach of the Browns by Monday. Get all your team, every single member of your team, all the players to wear the exact same color cleats. That's the color of the jersey in that particular game, period. Everybody wears the same colors, one uniform color. Is it that hard? This is ridiculous. I don't care how much talent Odell Beckham Jr. has. This cleat distraction is a complete and utter farce. And I'm sick and tired of it for the sake of Browns fans. Odell, stop worrying about giving Tom Brady goat-haired cleats. Stop worrying about all your designer cleats and all your Joker face and all that other crap. Wear daggone cleats that are uniform compliant. And by the way, there's a rumor today that Odell had his pants higher than his knees. We've already been down that road with this guy. Well, how much more is it going to take? Oh, I'm persecuted. I'm singled out. The NFL singles me out. No, it doesn't, Odell. You bring it on yourself. This is ridiculous. How many more weeks do we have to deal with this crap? All right,
I don't
ahead.
blame Odell. I blame the head coach for letting him do it, D-Man. And this is where it goes back to. I'm sorry. I hate my biggest concern coming in, even though I picked them to win the division at 10-6, my biggest concern coming in was Freddie Kitchens. Freddie Kitchens, the unproven head coach, had never done it at any level. And again today, D-Man, play calls, red zone efficiency or lack thereof, the challenges. And I mean, this guy is in so far over his head. It would not surprise me if John Dorsey said, hey, buddy boy, come in here, and you either relinquish your play calling duties or I'm going to relinquish you to the unemployment line. Okay? Something has to happen. There's too much talent on the D-Man. They've lost 4 in a row. They had a better record last year through 8 games with Hugh Jackson as the head coach than they do right now with Freddie Kitchens as the head coach with more talent. They were 2-5-1 last year through 8 games. They're 2-6 through 8 games this year. For me, it starts with Freddie. He's their buddy. He's their pal. Oh, I'm going to make him do push-ups. I'm going to make him do gas. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to call Bill Parcells. Oh, he told me. Okay, Parcells said I should make him do gassers again. Oh, wear whatever cleats you want. Oh, Baker, do whatever you want. Walk out whenever you want on a press conf. No, this guy has no control over this football team. He's not calling good plays. He's lost control. There's a lack of discipline. All of the above. Right? It would not surprise, and it's trending on Twitter, D-Man. It's trending on Twitter, Fire Freddie. It's trending all over the place, okay? So, like I said, I don't know if John Dorsey's going to admit that he was wrong in the hire of Freddie Kitchens and can his ass after 8 games, because that makes John Dorsey look bad. Something, though, has to be done. So either A, for me, Freddie allows Todd Monken to call the plays from here on out, or B, you consider making a change at head coach.
Roadman, I'm going to underscore your point with a couple of nuggets. 2 3rd and 3s, according to Terry Pluto's column, where he writes about how bad he feels for the Browns fans. 2 3rd and 3s, neither time is Nick Chubb getting the ball. The ball goes to Dontrell Hilliard, 0 yards and 2 yards. And then a 4th and 1, Chubb's not on the field. Baker sneaks, doesn't get it. This is – I absolutely agree with you, Roadman. Freddie Kitchens is the head of the snake, even though he doesn't play. And he has been dazed and confused by and large through 8 games. And, for the longest time we heard about, well, the quality of competition is really good. What do you really expect? He's a new head coach. No, not now. We're too deep into the year to be using the, first-year head coach excuse. And he goes to play a team that was 2-6 with Brandon Allen as the starting quarterback. Brandon Allen, who had never taken an NFL snap in a game that mattered. You absolutely, positively have to win that game. Even if it's by hook or by crook, you've got to win that game to save your season. And instead, you lay an egg. And Kitchens is right there with everybody else responsible for it. And yes, I championed the hiring of Freddie Kitchens as the next head coach in the offseason because I thought that maybe another team would really want him because of his offensive acumen. And I don't know that I want to say I'm wrong, because if I say I'm wrong, that means I think he should be gone. But what I am saying is it wouldn't surprise me if something drastic is done on Monday. Now, if it's not whacking Kitchens, then I sure hope it's what you said, that Todd Monken calls the freaking plays and Freddie Kitchens becomes a CEO of the team, an overseer, and a cheerleader, if you will. But something's got to change, because what's happening right now ain't working. And by the way, I never thought I'd say this, but the Haslam ownership, to me, they're sympathetic figures right now, Jimmy and D. I actually feel for Jimmy and D, because you know what? For the first time in a long time, Jimmy and D did the right thing. They hired a football man as a general manager. They turned over the keys to John Dorsey and his staff. I assume the Haslam's allowed Dorsey to hire Kitchens, and it wasn't the Haslam saying.
I was going to say, do we know? Was it Dorsey who wanted Freddie, or was it Jimmy and Ms. D that wanted to hire Freddie? I don't know for sure. I'm not saying one way or the other, D-Man. I just don't know whose call it really was.
Yeah, and I guess by me saying that the Haslams are sympathetic figures, I'm assuming that it was Dorsey's call. Okay. And that the Haslams allowed Dorsey to make the call. Because you would think by now there would have been some Dorsey supporter leaking close to John Dorsey saying, this really wasn't Kitchens' pick. Or, I mean, it really wasn't Dorsey's pick, Kitchens. So I'm going to assume that Dorsey made the call on Kitchens. And therefore, I'm sympathetic to the Haslams. And if I were the Haslams, I would light this team up. I mean, last week we had you standing in front of the team, and obviously that didn't work out. Now,
wait a second. If I'm the I didn't get a chance to call them out face to face. I would have really lit them. So don't say my rant didn't work out, D-Man. It would have worked if I would have been in that locker room. Not, Mr. Whoop-de-hell was in the locker room talking to him in a nice way.
We know they played it over the loudspeakers. Your rant. But here's the thing. If I'm the Haslams, I'm like, what in the bleep is going on with this team? For all of you. I mean, I'd get them all in there. Dorsey, Kitchens, everybody. And go, this is a joke. It's an absolute joke. You got disorganization from the top to the bottom. And I know Dorsey's largely been bulletproof so far. But not all of his acquisitions are paying off. Not all of his trades are working out. Not all of his draft picks are working out. But here you got Kitchens. He's overwhelmed. I remain committed to that stance. Nothing I've seen has changed my opinion on that. Baker Mayfield has gone from the talk of the town, commercial every 5 seconds. Now he's shaving his goatee before he meets the media. I mean, what is that? He had a Fu Manchu and he shaved it into a mustache by the time he met the media.
You think tomorrow morning he's going to wake up feeling disappointed?
A little bit. But you know what, Kenny? There's no denying it. He's one of the bottom 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. Think of the guys. Think of the guys who are outplaying Baker Mayfield right now. Let's see. Matt Moore of Kansas City, a backup who, and I mean backup in the strongest terms, because a few weeks ago, he was a high school coach. Now he's coming in for the Chiefs because Mahomes has been out for the past couple weeks, and he's beating the Vikings today. Brandon Allen making his first start, his first snaps as an NFL player in a game that counts. He's beating Baker head-to-head. Let's see. Josh Allen Kyle Allen, Carolina. Substitute quarterback. Another solid game for Kyle Allen. I mean, everywhere you look, these backup quarterbacks are outperforming the number 1 overall pick in 2018. Kyler Murray looks better, and he's a number 1 overall pick. I get it, but he looks better than Baker. Everybody looks better than Baker right now. And so everywhere you look on the Cleveland Browns, there's disappointment. But to me, the 2 biggest disappointments are Kitchens and Baker, Baker and Kitchens, depending on how you want to rank them. Followed closely by, and I know some people get after me about this, OBJ. Because they'll say, well, what do you expect him to do? He's not getting the ball thrown to him enough. He's a playmaker, blah, blah, blah. He's too much of a daggone distraction. This is an individual who's trying to shine the light on himself in a team game. He talks the team game, but he doesn't play the team game. He's all about me. Oh, me, Jay. And I'm tired of people defending this guy. He's a freaking clown show. How do I know that? Because he wore Joker cleats to the Broncos game. I mean, this guy, all he wants to do is call attention to himself. What did we get? CBS Sports broadcast today, Kenny. After the play where Baker on 4th down tried to hit Landry over the middle, and OBJ had broken open past Chris Harris, as he's coming back to the sideline, Jay Feely, the CBS sideline reporter, says, well, he said that that Odell said, what was the quote? I can't get the ball for all the world, or something like, I can't get the ball no matter what, or whatever it is. He's complaining openly about not being able to get the ball. And here's the thing. When you watch the replay, Baker initially looked left. At that moment that he looked left, OBJ was covered. Then he shifted to the inside because he was feeling like he had to get rid of the ball. And then OBJ got wide open, or not wide open, but open enough. So I'm not going to automatically say that Baker should have stayed locked on OBJ. But the bottom line is OBJ is all about himself. I don't care what he says. Oh, we're all in this together. He's a me first guy.
I like the OMJ. That's the D-man. That's dead on. I mean, it is. He's a diva. OMJ. All he worries about is himself, it sounds like, and that's probably why New York was happy to get rid of him. Does he have unbelievable talent for a wide receiver? Yes, he does. But I'm also tired of seeing all these one-handed catches in warm-ups, in practice, with nobody guarding. They don't mean anything. So what? High school kids can do that stuff now in practice. Do something in a game. Get wide open so your quarterback has to throw you the football. Catch the ball on a third down play last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, when you could have extended a drive instead of dropping it. Don't worry about your damn shoes. I'm fed up. And D-man, I'm guilty again. I've been guilty on a number of things. I bought into the Browns thinking they'd win the division. That ain't happening now. I also said, you know what? It doesn't matter if OBJ's not at the OTAs or whatever it is, and I still don't think that's a big deal. But boy, when you look back on it now and all this that's coming to fruition, my goodness, there's a lot of baggage that comes with OMJ, as you like to call him, and I'm going to start calling him that, and I'll give you credit, D-man, because it's right on. This team is a complete mess. How big of a mess is it, D-man? Did you see Jermaine Whitehead's tweets after the game?
Yes, I did.
Did you see this story that came out? And the Browns, Chase just sent us a text message, and we'll read some of what the Browns released in a statement. So, number one, the fact that the Browns addressed this verifies that this actually was Jermaine Whitehead. Yeah. I didn't want to retweet it because I didn't know if it was him or not, right?
Kenny, I was so stunned by what I was reading that I did not want to comment on it or retweet or anything until the Browns actually verified that this account or these accounts belong to the Jermaine Whitehead. And once they did, as Chase has tweeted to us or texted to us, and you can read the statement, once that happened, now we can actually talk about it. And they have agreed that this actually came from
and here's the thing. I sent out a tweet about 4 hours ago. I'm looking at my timeline, D-man. Browns defense embarrassing themselves today, especially on that last touchdown pass, as Jermaine Whitehead, Greedy Williams, and Adarius Taylor all with missed tackles. It was an embarrassment. Well, I guess that was me being kind or choosing kinder words, because and I'm going to read some of this, not all of this. All right. Wow. I don't know if I mean, he has since deleted the tweets, I guess, right?
No. Hold on. No, I think Twitter suspended
his
account.
Was? Okay.
Before he did any deleting of any tweets. Then he goes to Instagram.
Oh, my.
Once Twitter shut him down, and then he went to Instagram.
All right, here's one from He Hate Me 234. Just saw 2 for 110 yards and a TD. F boy. Okay, clean up. Jermaine Whitehead's response, and I'm reading this word for word. This isn't me. Okay.
Roadman, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Be
careful here.
I will.
I would just do the Fox one. I'd just do the Dustin Fox
one.
Well,
okay. You want me to
all right, but
since you want that, D-man, I'll back off.
Just because Fox did not swear at Whitehead.
Whitehead's effort tackling today is a joke. That was what Dustin Fox sent out on Twitter. Response and this is the softest one of the 4 that Jermaine Whitehead sent out that we get a screenshot of. Come get it in blood, bitch, made ass, little boy. I'm out there with a broken hand. Don't get smoked, F-ass cracker. I mean, that's Jermaine Whitehead responding on Twitter. That's a tweet that came from him. Okay? And that, like I said, that is the cleanest, the nicest of his responses to the tweets that were sent out. Here's the Browns statement, at least part of it. Jermaine Whitehead's social media posts following today's game were totally unacceptable and highly inappropriate. You think? We immediately spoke with Jermaine upon learning of these comments. This matter will be further addressed internally. Guys, he's got to be suspended, doesn't he?
No, not only that, that's a fireable offense. I'm sorry. If any employee tweeted what Whitehead's account tweeted, and again, the Browns are pretty much saying now, because here's the thing. The Browns statement, we assume, covers the Twitter handle and the Instagram posts. So it may be just, again, I doubt very seriously that this was some hacked account, because we actually got a report from a Browns reporter in the locker room in Denver that Whitehead was tweeting while still in uniform after the game. I mean, imagine that. Think about that. So assuming that, and again, we're basing our criticisms of Whitehead on what the Browns have said, I can't even fathom how you can keep your job if you respond that way. And when I asked you not to recount or talk about the tweet at Whitehead that had the swears in it, even if you're getting 15 swear words directed at you in a tweet, as a professional athlete, you cannot, under any circumstances, respond in kind. You certainly cannot respond with threats. You can't respond with the address of the Browns training facility on Lou Groza Boulevard, as one of his tweets did, one of the tweets under his account did. And by the way, nobody came in and said that the Whitehead Twitter account was hacked. Nobody said these tweets did not belong to the actual Jermaine Whitehead. And Twitter jumped in and suspended that account. And by the way, why would a fake account of Whitehead make up the fact that he had a broken hand? I mean, what would be the point of that if you're going to fake Jermaine Whitehead? So it certainly looks terrible for Whitehead, and it should. He should not be a member of the Cleveland Browns by late tonight or tomorrow morning. You cannot tolerate that as an employer. You can't have an employee do that. Roadman, if you did that at your station, you're gone. If I did that at WTAM, I'm gone. If I did that in front of Press Play Podcast's Chase Smith, I'm out.
Yep.
You're out. You can't do that. You just can't. I don't care what is coming at you and how your feelings are hurt or how mad you are. You cannot respond that way.
D-Man, I'm with you. Minimum suspension, probably fire him. But what is John Dorsey known for? Giving guys second, third chances, right? Everybody makes a mistake, he says. Oh, so we got, so will John Dorsey adhere to that because Kareem Hunt's coming back with the Browns, right? He drafted Tyreek Hill in Kansas City. So it would not shock me if he wasn't fired or let go, meaning Whitehead, just suspended and then given another chance. Would not surprise me at all.
Well, here's more, I mean, unbelievable. We get more stuff from Chase. Somebody's defending Chad Thomas, defending Whitehead. I mean,
D-Man, the racial comments alone should get him suspended, if nothing else. The threats should probably get him fired. Period. End of story.
Well, and he said, and Chase said Donnie Lewis is defending him as well. Here's the thing, too. The Browns may want to make it an internal matter, but guess what? It's going to be an external matter because the NFL is aware of it by now. They have to be aware of it by now. It'll come across somebody's desk, if not tonight, tomorrow. that one of their players had their Twitter account hacked. And at that point, then you investigate, and all you have to do is look at what was retweeted and snapshot or twit picked. I mean, the NFL is going to come down hard on this guy if the Browns don't.
And the Browns better, because it makes them look bad if it has to happen through the NFL. And what type of a message does it send throughout that locker room if you allow this to go on and he gets a slap on the wrist and that's it? To use the term cracker like that, imagine if a white player on the team dropped the N-bomb in a tweet like that, okay? And how much that would be talked about and heard around the world, basically. So the Browns better do something here and not wait for the NFL. And you're right. It's no longer an internal matter. Him going, on social media to the world makes it an external matter. Everybody knows about it.
Roadman, he represents the NFL. He's an employee ultimately of the NFL, not just the Browns. Point. So, and here's the thing. You got a guy like Trevor Bauer. I've been critical of Bauer in some of his back and forth with the fans. He gets sensitive to criticism on Twitter, and some of it is uncalled for. But you know what? I don't remember anything from Trevor Bauer that came remotely close to the vitriol and the expletives and the pejoratives and the racial, not only just overtones, but the overt racism. I don't recall any of that even close when Bauer responded to critics. But the bottom line is, as an NFL player or NBA player, MLB player, you have to know better. You cannot respond to anybody, period. And by the way, Jermaine, you got such a problem with Dustin Fox. Why don't you wait until Monday and Fox has his show, and whenever you're on lunch break or whenever you have a chance, or maybe wait till Tuesday, call up the show and read him the riot act. Why do you have to get on social media with all that horrible language? So, and you see people, again, not just Browns players, some Browns players, but you see fans defending this guy. I mean, really? Oh, well, if you don't wear Browns and orange, you don't matter. You're one of us. No, I don't want to be part of that. If I'm Browns Nation, I don't want that guy speaking for me. It's disgraceful. That kind of behavior is a disgrace.
This goes to show you, D-Man, where this organization is at right now with Freddie Kitchens at the helm. 2-6 record and this type of stuff, along with Odell Beckham Jr. and the cleats and everything that he's doing. The locker room is out of control right now, D-Man. End of story. They can spin it any way they want. And Freddie will be asked this question, and he'll say, I don't think it's under, out of control. And the Browns will probably say that, he hadn't lost the team. No, I've been around sports long enough. I know when a coach has lost the team. And your quote that you were looking for, Jay, I can't get the ball to save my life, is what he said coming off after that fourth down. So this is it, man. We were wondering what would happen if there was some adversity. Well, we're seeing it, man, and they're coming apart at the seams, not only on the field with a 2-6 record, but off the field as well.
Yeah, and for Jay Feely to report that, it had to be loud enough for him to hear. This isn't OBJ coming over and whispering to Jay Feely, hey, I can't get the ball to save my life. No. Feely is within earshot and hears this plain as day. So it had to be said in a loud tone, not some, muttering under the breath frustration. And it wasn't an interview. It's not like Jay Feely was interviewing OBJ. He was just hearing it as Beckham came off the field. So this is just a complete mess. And if I'm the Haslams, I'm going bananas. I'm not preaching patience anymore. I'm angry. I start with a guy like Whitehead and say, you will not represent my organization anymore. You're out of here. He's gone. Okay, because, by the way, the Browns apparently have already investigated. Otherwise, they wouldn't have released that statement. So they've come to the conclusion that he was over the line. So, in my mind, Whitehead should not play another game for the Cleveland Browns. And if you want to call that overreaction, fine.
They're 2-6, D-man. They're 2-6. They got to do something. And this guy, it's not like this guy's an all-pro where you can't afford to let him go because he means so much to the team. Okay, if you watched him play today, I watched him miss at least 3 tackles on 3 separate plays, D-man. And he was one of 3 guys that gave up the Noah Fant, big touchdown pass today. And so what I can see why people were calling him out on Twitter. And yeah, if I'm a player, I'm going to get upset too. But look in the mirror, man. Look in the mirror.
Yeah. Listen, this is an absolute disaster. And by the way, we talk about Kitchens and we talk about the offense sputtering and Monken and Kitchens maybe not being able to synchronize their offensive philosophies and Baker struggling. But you know what? A guy I loved at the start of the season, Steve Wilkes, and his defense isn't exactly dazzling either. As we intimated when we said that the Browns lost to Brandon Allen, I think the Broncos scored the most points they've scored all year. And Brandon Allen has a decent to good game when he should have been overwhelmed by this so supremely talented Browns defense, specifically their D-line. Once again, this D-line that's got so much ability. Really? You sure did frighten the Broncos into a terrible offensive game. Now, I know that the Browns ran a ton more plays than the Broncos did, and they had the ball a lot more than the Broncos did. The majority of the blame goes to the Browns offense, specifically for its inability to cash in inside the red zone. But as I said, the defense has to have some blame because this should have been a game where the Browns defense holds Brandon Allen and the Broncos to no more than 10 points. I mean, that's a realistic expectation. And instead, he's in the 20s.
D-man, when I heard Joe Flacco wasn't going to play in this game, I thought to myself, that's not good for the Browns because Flacco couldn't get out of his own way. He was so slow against the pass rush. I said to myself, well, what looked to be an automatic win might not be as easy as I thought it would be if I was hoping Flacco was still going to play. So the Browns would have the opportunity to knock him into next week like every other team did. By having Allen in there and his mobility today, that helped them, and the Browns could not do a good enough job of corralling him. The guy throws 2 touchdown passes. He scrambled a number of times. So, this team right now, you are what your record says you are. They're 2-6. They're a bad football team. End of story. Period. That's it. And changes have to be made. And we're not just talking offensive line or what. No, starting with Freddie Kitchens, you either take away his play calling duties or you fire him. Okay, and I don't know if you turn it over to Wilkes, who was a head coach and is your defensive coordinator, or whoever else is on that. I don't know, but something has to be done because this is going nowhere fast, and it's not pretty.
And Roman, don't forget about this either. At the end of the late fourth quarter, the Browns are trying to take the lead, and Baker, they fail to convert. They could still stop the Broncos and get the ball back. And guess what? The Broncos get, I think, at least 2 first downs and wind up running out the clock. And one of their key plays was a wildcat to Phillip Lindsay. So even the last possession, they could have stopped them and forced a punt and gotten another crack at winning. But they couldn't even do that.
And they couldn't call any timeouts because Freddie challenged a call that I knew wasn't going to get overturned. And they also had to take a timeout because the play clock was winding down when they had the ball on that one drive before they go incomplete on 4th and 4. So, again, you just look back. Freddie has put together a resume that should get him fired through 8 games, D-man. He's done enough in these 8 games with this talent to get himself fired, or at least, if not fired, demoted from head coach and offensive coordinator to just head coach.
Can you imagine if Dorsey pulled the switcheroo and said, hey, Todd Monken, you're the head coach, and Kitchens, you're calling the plays. Let's see what happens there. But something's got to change. I don't think you could just say we're going to keep doing the same stuff and everything will turn out fine. By the way, penalties for once didn't kill the Browns. I mean, yeah, there were a few, and they were ill-timed, of course, but this was finally a game where you couldn't say that penalties killed them or turnovers killed them, and they still lost.
I wrote this down. Browns with less penalties than Denver won the turnover battle, won the time of possession battle, had more yards and more plays, but somehow still found a way to lose to a first-time ever quarterback.
That's the classic example of losing teams do what losing teams do. They lose. Now, you could say, well, why didn't that apply to the Broncos? Because they were a losing team. I don't know. But I do know this. I was warning those in Cleveland, the Browns fans who were sure this was going to be a cakewalk, look closely at the Broncos record. Yeah, they were 2-5 going in, or 2-6 going in, but they'd been walked off a couple times with field goals. They got barely beaten in Indianapolis against the quality Colts team. They've been in the majority of their games. They played some tough teams. So this wasn't going to be the seemingly easy game that we all thought it was going to be.
Yep.
Speaking of, this upcoming week, guess what? Buffalo Bills. Now, in July, what did we say? Once the Browns get to the Broncos and the Bills, it's easy street. Really? Guess what? The Buffalo Bills are now, 6-2? And yeah, they've had to come from behind to win some games, and they haven't blown, bad teams out. I get it. But still, they're finding ways to win. They have a formidable defense. They got a quarterback who can beat you with his arm and his legs. So, all of a sudden, this 9-game finish to the season is already 0-1. Doesn't look so good. Doesn't look so easy. And by the way, you got to play the Steelers twice. And the Steelers are 4-4 despite no Roethlisberger. So, and you got to play the Cardinals late in the year in Arizona. The Cardinals played the 49ers tough in Glendale. So and you got to play the Ravens again. So, I mean, everything is coming up disaster for the Cleveland Browns. And I really don't know where you go from here. I said at the top of the show, I hope this is rock bottom. But you never know. If they go out and play horrible against the Bills and get booed off the field, maybe that's rock bottom.
Well, D-Man, tomorrow is going to be an interesting day. I know I'll be getting up early and checking my timeline and social media to see if the Browns, number one, what do they do with Freddie Kitchens? Number two, what do they do with Jermaine Whitehead? Number three, where does it go after that? Because something has to be done, whether that's Jimmy and Dee stepping in, John Dorsey, whoever is in charge of this team and the ownership, you would think, even though they've been quiet and they've been, out of sight to this point. I've got to believe after what Jermaine Whitehead sent out on Twitter and Instagram, and after the way they've played through 8 games and what, like I said, Freddie has put on his resume, that there needs to be some changes made before they play another football game.
I hear you. And again, I'm sorry. I feel bad for Browns fans. Browns fans do not deserve this. This was supposed to be a season of high achievement. And instead it's turned into a debacle. It really is. You can honestly, I know people, what are you talking about with the talent? I'm so sick of hearing that. But SOB, same old Browns. That's what we're dealing with here, the SOBs. And, this is different. They got OBJ. They got talent. Oh, stop it. Stop with the talent crap, okay? I don't give a daggone what you think you've got on paper. Every NFL team is going to say they have talent to some degree, even the Dolphins. By the way, the Dolphins scratched out a win today. They're nipping at the Browns' heels. So, this is insane. But all right, Roadman, I appreciate your time. I'm going to try to listen to some of your radio show tomorrow. I'm sure it's going to be electric. I don't get on TAM till I think Wednesday, so I have to bite my tongue. But yeah, it was. It's just bad all the way around, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good, D-Man. Keep up the great work at WTAM. And tomorrow, 3 to 7, the Kenny and JT show on 1480 AM WHBC and WHBC.com. You can listen live, and we're going to take calls and hear. I want to hear from the fans too, D-Man. That's the other thing tomorrow. Obviously, you and I are letting our feelings be known here tonight, and I'll do some more tomorrow. But tomorrow, it's about the fans and what they're saying about a 2-8 team, a head coach that's in over his head, and in our opinion, a player on the team that should be let go, cut, waived, given the pink slip for what he sent out on Twitter. So we'll get their response to it tomorrow as well.
You got it, Roadman.
Later.